Isang napakalaking sampal umano sa mga kritiko ang pinakabagong development na ito. Kumakalat ngayon ang matinding balita na malapit na umanong ilabas ng Korte Suprema ang isang temporary restraining order o TRO laban sa mga hakbangin ng impeachment kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Kung totoo man ito, tuluyang mababasag ang plano ng Makabayan Bloc at ng ilang kongresista na patalsikin ang vice-presidente. Ayon sa mga political analysts, ang hakbang na ito ng Supreme Court ay magbibigay proteksyon kay VP Sara mula sa mga isyong tinatawag nilang puro fishing expedition lamang at walang sapat na ebidensya. Ngunit hindi lang iyan ang nagpapainit sa balita. Usap-usapan din ngayon ang pagkapahiya umano ni political analyst Ronald Lamas. Bakit? Dahil sa kabila ng kaliwat kanang paninira at pag-ungkat sa isyu ng confidential funds, nananatiling mataas, solido, at buo ang tiwala ng publiko kay Inday Sara batay sa mga pinakabagong survey scores na lumalabas. Tila hindi natitinag ang suporta ng masa hanggang sa probinsya. Ano ang masasabi niyo rito, mga kababayan? Tuloy na tuloy pa ba ang laban ni VP Sara hanggang sa dulo, o may huling alas pa ang kanyang mga kalaban? Panoorin at suriin natin ng maigi.
The second, as you said, is Raffy Tulfo at 18%. So there's a sizable gap between Raffy Tulfo and Sara Duterte. And you also have Leni Robredo, who, if you push the logic and you apply the margin of error, could actually be considered as statistically tied with Raffy Tulfo in second place. That's something that we saw in our previous release in December or November. But yeah, so these are the three names at the top of the list who have also garnered a double-digit result. So Sara Duterte, Raffy Tulfo, and Leni Robredo. But we know very well that I think Leni Robredo and Raffy Tulfo have been deflecting announcements for the possible candidacy. And in fact, some of them have already said that they're not running for president. But in Philippine politics, we know very well that the story might change closer to the elections.
Bobby?
Ayun na. Magtatanong na itong galit kay VP Sara, wala namang ginawa si VP Sara sa
Robin pala. Sorry, Bobby yung kaninang guest.
Yes,
natin.
check.
Robin, yung gusto kong malaman ay, sabi mo nga, post-announcement ito, which was supposed to bring about a bump. Di ba, pag nag-announce kang tatakbo ka, usually may kaunting bump.
Correct.
Dito parang walang bump. So mas ang interesado ako, hindi yung absolute numbers Mas interesado ako sa movement of numbers. Ano yung comparison sa...
Alam mo ano, interesado ako? Hoy, makinig ka dito, Kalbo. Alam mo ano, saan ako interesado? Interesado ako pag nanalo na si VP Sara. Gusto ko makita kung nandiyan paangas mo. Doon ako interesado. Di ba? Numbers. Huwag na kayong magtalo-talo. Nagsalita na sa bayan ng Pilipino. Sure win na si VP Sara sa 2028 tapos ang usapan. Pag hindi na-impeach si VP Sara, siya sigurado presidente. Huwag na kayong mag-ilusyon.
Sa inyong mga previous survey, halimbawa yung pinanggalingan nito at saka kung kaya, even before that, ano yung comparison? Halimbawa, nagpa-plateau ba si Sara? Siya ba ay bumababa incrementally o tumataas? No? Halimbawa, alam ko for a fact na 100% hindi tatakbo si Raffy Tulfo for any position. At nagsimula siyang bumaba nung sinabi niya na hindi siya tatakbo talaga. Si Leni ay no, but may ganon. No? Yung kanyang sinasabi. So, sabi mo nga kanina, yung disposition ng mga nakasama dyan
The
sa
story
list.
could always change.
Yes.
But tell us about the movement.
Yes. Ang gusto ko makita yung movement of numbers from your previous surveys.
Yeah. Actually, so makikita natin yung movement kapag nag-change din yung names But for the last few surveys that we've published, halos pareho yung names na nandito. And nakita natin that ito yung tatlong nasa taas na minention natin kanina that Regina mentioned. Pareho lang, si Sara Duterte pa rin yung number 1 at around 30%. Raffy Tulfo and Leni Robredo.
At yung 30 ho na yan, at yung 30 na yan, 36%. Ano yan sabihin na nating 39%. Meron margin of error yan 3% ano na, gawin na natin 39%. Yan 39% na yan, solido na yan. Basin niya na yan. Kumbaga, pagka nag-umpisa na eleksyon, tataas pa yan. Pero hindi na bababa yan. Naku, yung ba mga kababayan? yung 39% na yan, o 40%, sabihin na natin, round up na natin para hindi masyadong malungkot itong si, pangalan to, itong si Kalbo. Ha? Yung 40%, hindi nabababa yan. Ha? Hindi nabababa yan. Ano na yan, kumbaga, base niya na yan. Mga DDS supporter na yan. Kahit na anong mangyari, kahit bumaliktad pa ang mundo, Duterte ang boboto niya sa 2028. Oh, kung yan solido na, kung yan hindi bababa, isa lang pupuntahan yan, sigurado tayo dyan. Tataas pa yan. Kung yung numero na yan ni VP Sara, base niya na yan at hindi na bababa, o saan pupunta yan? Alangan na magiging stagnant sa 40% yan. Natural, tataas pa yan. Malamang sa malamang, bago mag-eleksyon, nasa nasa 50 na yan.
So are a little bit higher than 10%. That has always been the story, even last year. Sabi ko nga, that we've published 5 Philippine Public Opinion Monitors, and you can see that online also. Wala masyadong movement comparatively, despite the fact that we introduced new names. No? For example, for this rendition, we introduced at least 4 names, no? Including DepEd Secretary Angara, si Joy Belmonte, yung iba nagsasabi at least sa social media na she should be running. I'm not sure if she's seriously considering that, but we included her in this poll, in this version. We also included for presidency si Secretary Vince Dizon. Many people are saying na siya yung pwedeng potential standard bearer ng administration. And then si MMDA General Manager Nick Torre, potential din na standard bearer. But we don't see a lot of movement even if we included new names. So halos pareho lang yung mga potential administration bets. Nakikita natin na walang traction masyado, na sa medyo dulo sila. And then medyo stable yung numbers ni VP Sara, Raffy Tulfo, and Leni Robredo over the past few surveys that we've published.
Robin, how do you choose kung sino isasama diyan sa survey? Ano? May isang
Bakit gusto mo sumama? Hindi pwede yung tetengkod maglakad dyan, Brad.
survey firm na binanatan ako 2 weeks ago dahil parang arbitrarily tinanggal nila si Tulfo doon sa survey, no? At tinanggal din nila si Bam Aquino, no? So hindi ko alam kung anong basis nila sa pagtanggal dahil in that survey medyo mas umangat si Sara dahil yung kay Tulfo, which is a populist brand, napunta sa isang populist candidate katulad ni Sara. So, ano yung mga basihan nyo?
Hindi nga tatakbo kaya tinanggal na sa Di ba? Tinanggal na Kung di natatakbo itong sira nga Hindi tatakbo talaga si Raffy Tulfo nga Pambira talaga itong si Boy Lamas. Ikaw na mismo sinabi mo na mismo, hindi siya tatakbo. Para saan ba ito sasama siya sa listahan? Okay na yun kung hindi siya sinama. Yan ang sinasabi ko. Yung 40% ni VP Sara, wala nang pupuntahan yan. Hindi na bababa yan. Hindi na bababa. Kahit ano pang paninira nyo, kasi lahat ng paninira ay ginawa na sa kanya. Nananatili pa rin 40% ang base niya. Pagpapalapit ang eleksyon, mag-uumpisa ng kampanya. Pagka sinabi ni VP Sara, papakulong ko si Marcos Jr., lalong tataas ang boto niya sigurado. Pagka sinabi ni VP Sara, pag naupo ako si Martin Romualdez Calabozo, anak ng tokwa, magpapalakpakan ng tenga na sambayan ng Pilipino. Yan na sigurado.
Sa pagtanggal o pagdagdag ng mga pangalan sa survey.
Alam mo
So internally sa WR, ang methodology po namin is we convene a committee, that includes some of the leaders and some senior advisors from academia, and then we consider the names that have been floated, in personal anecdotes, as well as signals from external environment, including the media. And so we look at all of these. And in fact, that's why we come up with a long list, because there's, it's malayo pa election, and it's better for us to look at a longer list. There was a debate considerably if the list should be shorter to create a more meaningful result, but it's just too early really to limit the number of choices. And I think mas accurate nga tingnan yung level of support for the potential frontrunners if mas mahaba itong list. people are saying na mas liliit at mas mag-iiba yung kwento, yung story if
Yeah.
you only have, say, like a three-way fight or a five-way fight. We agree, but at the same time, we don't want to remove the potential candidates that will potentially shape the landscape for next year kung nag-file
Yeah.
ng candidacy.
Yeah.
So importante makita natin so that matrack din natin yung changes over time. Kung tumataas sila, mapag-aralan natin ng mabuti yung campaign sila. And it will also give us a better sense of how Philippine political life unfolds in the next few months. But yeah, so to answer, Sec, yung question nyo po, ang sagot dyan is there's a committee, an internal committee that includes external senior advisors. Some of them you know who are
Yeah.
who have agreed to help us, and we analyze it from a social, scientific, and scholarly perspective, and basing it on media signals as well.
Sir, I find it interesting that the percentage of the undecided, 19% undecided on who to vote for president, and 27% undecided for the VP level.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Is it just because it's 2 years out? How does that compare to previous surveys? And is that a function of the face-to-face interviews, i.e., they don't want to say in person to someone? What's going on there?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. Pero what we always say is that, especially for potentially successful electoral aspirants, they have to pay attention to the undecided. So, as you mentioned, you can see in the survey here, for the presidential race, you still have 20%. So that's a huge amount of people who are not yet sure about who they will support. Perhaps because they don't see their chosen candidate in the list, or among the chosen candidate, they really haven't decided because they still want to wait and see. But successful candidates will have to speak to that 19.4%. And throughout our surveys, for the past few surveys last year, we also see the same number for for the presidential race at 20%. Napakalaki talaga nitong undecided. So they really have to form a compelling message and a compelling narrative to attract the undecideds, and not just talk to the same people who already support them. No, of course, in any campaign, and si Sec Ronald, of course, knows this, you need to keep the people who already support you. You need to make sure that the soft voters don't transfer to another camp, to another candidate. And then you need to make sure that you boo the undecided. So we don't think it's because of social bias that they're afraid. Maybe so during the Duterte era. The social desirability bias is a social scientific condition where, because of the condition of fear, they're afraid to answer, or they're afraid to answer against. No, we don't think that that's operating in this environment, and so I don't think that that's why there's a big undecided, a number of undecided voters. I think it's because it's really just far out, and voters who are more discerning, or maybe you're just willing to look at the landscape even further and wait and see. But the additional data set is for the vice presidential race, which is a little bit more dispersed and a little bit more uncertain. And you can also see that uncertainty in the number of undecideds, which is around almost 30%. No, that's at 26.8%. I think it was a bit higher the previous surveys, but it has consistently been more than 25% higher than the presidential race. It's also because that the VP list here is longer at 16 names. No, 4 names longer than the presidential race, which is already long. And so maybe that contributes to their uncertainty. But whatever the case, the fact that there's a 30% undecided, that's still a huge, huge number of people who can potentially be a swing vote, no, in the Senate, in the Senate, in the vice presidential race rather. So that's something that we see in the vice presidency, but not something we see in as much in the presidency, because it's 20%. So there's a 10% gap in terms of undecideds. Maybe it's primarily because it's still quite early, although the filing of candidacy is already next year. So you can see a lot of these, candidates potentially making a decision soon. So maybe then we'll see a smaller number of undecided voters.
Again, Robin, I would like to go back to my earlier question. how you choose people to include and not to include. Dahil offhand, based on my personal knowledge, halos kalahati dun sa list nyo for presidential candidates ay hindi naman talaga tatakbo. Pero meron akong alam na dalawa na gustong tumakbo na hindi kasama. Halimbawa, specifically,
John Vic.
although i-deny niya,
Nandiyan ba si John Vic? Nandiyan
si
na
General Torre. Bakit siya wala dyan sa listahan?
Walang bilang yun. Anak ng tokwa, sintu-sintu yun. Parang ikaw. Ba't pa siya sasali dyan?
Siya, mas open siyang tumakbo while the 5 others, alam ko ay hindi tatakbo. So again, how do you choose that?
Yeah, we talked about the methodology earlier already with your committee. But is there something that you do different in terms of narrowing down the final list of names?
So as I said, yung committee, it's mainly in the committee. The committee decides, no? So as I said, one of our variables that we use are media signals. Another are conversations among equal experts who are also observers in the field. So this is the form part of the basis. But I think the contention is, why is there a long list rather than a shorter list? If in fact some of these people end up not going to run. But these are we feel that we have to include them because the landscape can still change in a few months, and they may decide, and there might be surprises, and it would be remiss for us at the firm if we don't include them in an early poll. So that's mainly our paradigm when we decide what names to include here.
Right. Coming back to the presidential race, sir, with VP Sara Duterte's numbers, 36%, you said that factors in the post-announcement sentiment. But does it also factor in the impeachment and how that played into her numbers, as well as the ICC hearings of her father?
Yeah, so there's still, it covers the impeachment. This is the second time the impeachment will be successful. For example, she will be impeached in the House of Representatives. But we know that next week there's several hearings at the Committee on Justice. Meron po yatang sa Tuesday, and then the day, a few days after that, tatlo yata, I think. So the survey does not cover that, but it does cover the previous discussions. Regarding the ICC, yes, it does cover some of the previous movements in litigation at the ICC, but it does not yet cover the decision of the ICC for the appeal of the defense, which I think will come out later this month, April 22, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it's still a moving target. So there's a lot of things that have yet to unfold. But we think that there's already a lot of things that have happened that could already factor in the results. And so this is the story. This is a post-announcement story. And, if you look at, and I think si Sec Ronald and kayo na-mention niya sa shows in the past few episodes, if you look at the early front runners, umaabot sila ng 40%, even 60%, and even higher than that in the 2010, 2016, and even 2022 races. No, but that's something that we don't see right now. So I think at the firm, what we basically think is that this is still a fluid landscape. Any analysis that says that the 2028 presidential race is already achieving some level of certainty is something that should be reconsidered. We don't think that it is certain, that it's certain stone that the vice president will win if in case she does not get impeached. So I think that's the big headline that we can see from the numbers.
That's interesting. So previous frontrunners have averaged 50, 60% voter preference?
I wouldn't say average, but in some results, they've
yeah.
reached around 50%. They've reached even 60%. If I'm not mistaken, si Kaibina, umabot ng 60% yan. And, if you look at the story of 2016, si President Duterte nag-surge yan around February, March. And then medyo mataas pa si Grace po tsaka si Binay noon. No?
Yeah.
So things can still change, like 2 months before elections.
Binay was
So
still the
nothing is set
highest.
in stone. Is
Binay
the
was
point.
still the highest in
Ever.
January.
Oh.
January 2016. Before the official start of the campaign.
Do you remember the numbers?
Taas pa rin siya. Yeah. At all throughout 2015, siya pa rin yung pinakamataas.
And we all know what
Si
happened
Digong
after.
kasi tumataas by increments.
Although you can't deny as well, former President Duterte's popularity was always high talaga yung in the surveys.
Not necessarily.
Not always high.
Not necessarily. Brad, lokohin mo sarili mo.
yung towards the end, towards the election
Towards the
period.
end. Towards
yeah,
the end.
mataas-taas na eh.
Nagsimula kasi siya, hindi siya tatakbo.
Yes, that's true. That's also true. And then he...
Tapos nag-substitute
Flip.
siya
Oo,
ng
correct.
December. Doon siya nag-substitute
he
December.
was the dark horse in that election year. But finally, Robin, yung margin of error. I also note with interest the margin of error for the rest of the country is ±3, but for Metro
Correct,
Manila it's
percent.
±7. What is going on there? Are Metro Manilans more unsure, uncertain?
No, it's really like that, though. So the more granular you go, the higher the margin of error. But at the national level, the results hold true, ±3%. So that's really how it is.
Okay.
If you increase the number of respondents, then you decrease also the margin of error. But of course, it will take a lot of resources from firms like such as ours in order to achieve that. So we'll see a smaller margin of error in more granular levels such as regional and itong Balance Luzon and Luzon. But it will always be the story that if you want to achieve representativeness at the top level, at the national level, the more lower nuanced levels will have a higher margin, slightly higher margin of error.
How about the possibility of a black swan? Robin, is it still there in the next 2 years? Na somebody na
totoo
wala...
po yan.
You mean a dark
Yan ang
horse?
naisip din
Yeah,
namin,
yeah,
kaya
yeah. Somebody
gusto
na
namin
wala-
habaan yung listahan.
Somebody
Kasi
na wala
baka
sa
may hindi
survey.
tayo nakikita. So,
Diba?
gusto natin makapture sana.
By the initials RL?
Ha?
ikaw
The
ba?
others, mga ilan ako nakausap
Ronald Lamas.
na tinitignan yung sarili nila as a dark horse. How dark, hindi ko sigurado. Kaya nga sabi ko,
That they could
Anong dark? Si Nicolas Torre, ang dark lang doon yung balat niya. Pero hindi siya maging...
only come out at the very last minute, no?
hindi naman. Pero, halimbawa, General Torre is not part of the survey.
Ba't mo pinagpipilitan si Torre? Ang dark na lang kay Torre yung budhi niya at yung balat niya. Maliban doon, wala nang dark doon sa mama na yun.
Pero,
Nandito po,
Yeah.
nandito siya. Actually.
Nandyan siya. Okay,
Nandyan siya, pero-
so ibig sabihin lower siya than Vince Dizon.
Much.
Lower than this.
Yeah.
Pero it's still early, and tsaka hindi pa naman visible masyado si General Nick. So,
Yeah.
we'll wait and see.
0.0%. His name is there. Pero it doesn't...
0.0. So, ibig sabihin, pwede pa si Manny Mugato.
Naglulokon na lang ho sila. Punta na ho tayo dito kay Attorney Trixie Cruz Angeles. Game.
Nilang sinasabi, umakyat sa Korte Suprema, natatakot daw o ayaw humarap sa kanyang kaso. So, sagutin po muna natin yan.
Yeah.
Unang-una, ang pag-akyat sa Korte Suprema ay hindi lamang sa pag-aapila. Ito ay nagagawa lalo-lalo na pag petition for certiorari kung may desisyon. Halimbawa, ikaw po ay may kaso sa Regional Trial Court. Mayroon hindi kayo sang-ayon sa desisyon ng judge, ng hukom. Maaaring questionin yung desisyon na yun at umakyat sa Korte Suprema or with a higher court, like the Court of Appeals. So for example, mayroong in-exclude na ebidensya na ang feeling nyo dapat in-include. So aakyat ka on a petition for certiorari. Okay? So ibig sabihin yan, mayroong decision. Yung decision na yun does not dispose of the case, meaning hindi pa tapos yung kaso. So at kahit masagot yung katanungan na yun, it does not signal the end of the case. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang makuusbong yung kaso o dun sa Regional Trial Court dahil mayroon pang desisyon na gustong questionin o kailangan ma-resolve ng maayos o ng naaayon sa batas. depende dun nga sa panig na nagfa-file. So, ibig sabihin yan, ayoko itong decision, and the decision is temporary, hindi mareresolba yung kaso, meaning it's not about guilt or innocence kung nasa regional trial court ka at ikaw ay nasa criminal na kaso. Hindi yan magdedetermine ng guilt or innocence. It's a decision that is part of the case and within the case, pero hindi pa siya yung hatol. So, pagka ganun, pwede kang umakyat sa Korte Suprema para maresolba yan. Usually, ang grounds niyan ay pinoprotektahan mo ang karapatan mo, lalong-lalo na from the possibility that the decision issued by the judge ay hindi makatarungan, hindi naaayon sa batas, o kaya nalalapastangan ang karapatan mo. So, aakyat ka. Ibig sabihin ba nun, mayroon kang tinatago? Hindi. Yun lang ang sinasabi ng mga kritiko ni VP Inday. Pag nag-file daw siya sa Korte Suprema, ibig sabihin takot. Ibig sabihin mayroong ebidensya na ayaw niyang palabisin. Not necessarily. Dahil yung ebidensya naman ay tinatalakayan doon sa trial. At ang trial ay ginagampanan ng Senado. So anong ginagampanan sa House of Representatives? Dito ay yung determination. Ultimately, it will be the determination of probable cause. Ngunit tradition ay yung sufficiency in form and substance. Ngayon, ano ba yan? So, dinagdagan nila ng sufficiency in grounds. All of these are necessary to help them determine kung may probable cause. Ibig sabihin naman ng probable cause. Ang probable cause means that ito yung standard para makaakyat sa Senado ang kaso. Ano ibig sabihin pa rin yan? Medyo magulo, di ba? Hindi kasi natin pinapayagan yung mga weak cases o yung mga cases na magiging aksaya lang sa oras ng Senado. So, kaya yan kinikilatis ng mga mambabatas sa Kamara de Representantes ay para sa efficiency and para hindi nga maaksaya yung oras, didetermine nila kung mayroon ba talagang kaso ito. Kung there are probably grounds for impeachment and probably the Vice President committed the acts that violate those grounds. So, ang standard niyan ay isang reasonable man. Kung ikaw ay rasonableng tao at nakita mo yung ebidensya or lack thereof, nakita mo yan, maaari mong sabihin, probably there's no case. Probably she did not commit this. Or I probably walang jurisdiction. Ganyan. Okay? So, yun ang trabaho ng House. Hindi trabaho ng House kumuha ng ebidensya para dun sa kalaban. Hindi trabaho ng House ang magpakumpleto ng ebidensya ng prosecution. So, ang pag-aakyat sa Korte Suprema ay sa proteksyon ng karapatan ng respondent, and in this case, it is the Vice President. So sabi naman ng iba dito, naka-all caps pa, kahit violation yan ng rules natin dito, kaso nga pumunta si Sara sa Supreme Court. The reason she goes to the Supreme Court is because a decision on justice that she is questioning to protect her rights. Okay? So, you cannot proceed with the determination of probable cause if the committee proceeds to violate her rights. May karapatan siya na mag-seek ng judicial redress. Ibig sabihin nun, yung hukuman ang magpoprotekta sa kanyang karapatan. And that's not a wrong thing. People do that every day in a variety of cases. And yes, even in matters that are private. For example, decisions of a board of trustees, board of directors. Yan. Pwedeng iakyat mo. These board of directors determined that I should lose my voting rights in the company. Akyat sa Korte Suprema on a petition for certiorari and prohibition. Pwede pang with prayer for temporary restraining order. So ang tanong ngayon, bakit daw hindi binigyan ng TRO? Teka, at bibida pa. Pwede kasing i-issue right away. Totoo yan ng Korte Suprema if on the face makita nila, necessary ang TRO to protect her rights at kung ano para hindi mag-deteriorate yung kanyang assets, hindi siya magkaroon ng irreversible harm. Now, is there any harm that she is in danger of that is irreversible? Wala pang hearing. Kailan ang susunod na hearing? Di ba sa 16? So, the court does not need to issue a TRO right now. They have time to ask the HOR to make a comment on the two petitions, yung petition ni VP Sara at yung petition ng mga lawyers led by Attorney Torreon and Attorney Delgra.